traffic collisions. This is the only place where we are moving in the wrong direction up at the university. What this just shows, again by month, is the number of traffic accidents, traffic crashes that have been reported in that roughly half-mile to 1-mile radius surrounding the Uptown campus. We do seem to be seeing more aggressive driving. We do have more crashes, and we've had more pedestrians struck. We have a congested area. There are more people coming to that area. You know, we have bars and restaurants and great activities at the university, and so we're seeing more and more people coming to those areas. And so this is something where we will be working. We reported this to City Council, and we'll be working with the City of Cincinnati to problem solve around this particular issue. And so that's what these graphics are about here, but I'll just bring you back here. In this 2-year period, just 2014 to 2016, we've had a nearly 46% increase in the number of reported traffic crashes in those areas. These dots represent where they are, but you can see some of them, you know, are kind of, the dots are right on top of each other, right? Some intersections over and over again, we have a problem.
It's Clifton and McMillan right at East High School.
And so when you take the dots that are over top of each other out, whoo, that's what we've got. Okay, we've got over 1,500 traffic collisions. Now, some of these collisions are, you know, bumping a bumper when you're parking. You know, they might not be major or really important types of issues. However, the pedestrian struck is an important issue here. And we've seen a 41% increase from the 3-year average. So last year alone, we had 50 individuals who were struck by a vehicle in that surrounding area. So one of the things we need to think through, since we are not doing traffic enforcement in those areas, we need to work with the Cincinnati Police Department to make sure that we still do have appropriate levels of traffic enforcement for safety, for public safety reasons, and also working with the traffic department to make sure our signage is right, that the crosswalks are appropriately marked, and we also have to educate our own students, right, to make sure that they're obeying pedestrian laws as well, to make sure.
I may be wrong, but I'll bet you could correlate that with construction activity. Taking a look at, just glancing at some of it, there's an awful lot of construction going on, both highway and apartments, and what that means is construction vehicles and no room to see, and if you want to look at things to be improved, you might want to, I don't know what the
absolutely. And we also have a correlation with DUI and some of those issues as well, particularly in and out and around the bars, and with our pedestrians that are walking, sometimes intoxicated in the evening hours, going back and forth as well, not paying attention and more likely to be struck. This is actually a graphic of the pedestrian involved, the 50 individuals who were struck, where those accidents were in the areas around campus, and you can see, of course, they do congregate on particular intersections. So.
You have a question, sir?
Friday and Saturdays.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll tell you what I think it is.
What's that?
Alcohol.
Yes.
I've been in the student area and amazed the number of beer cans on porches, sidewalks,
Right.
covers, everywhere.
Well, and that's another reason why UCPD, one of the services they provide, and one of the things that we do is we track what we call problem properties. So properties where people continue to call about loud music, loud parties, litter, and trash. And we keep a list of those properties. We work with student affairs to make sure that the students are adhering to the student code of conduct, right, at the university, which applies to their behavior off campus as well. So we're really trying to be good neighbors, and that's one of the things, one of the problem-solving efforts that we have right now is this list of problem properties where we're working with the landlords, we're working with the students who reside there, and we're putting more patrols in and around those specific residents. So our officers are actually told, we want you to drive by this resident 5 times this evening, and they keep a log of what's happening on that property. Is there loud music? Is there a party? Etc. So those are, again, problem-solving methods that we've used to try to get at this issue. But the alcohol issue is pervasive. Of course, not just our campus, right? You know, this is an issue old as time, right? For that particular age group. So.
I came here from the University of Michigan.
Oh, so you know. Okay. All right, Big Blue, I hear you.
I just want to say that I appreciate all of the effort that you all have put into just correcting the issues, especially with the St. Louis case. I mean, and you volunteered to do this, so you weren't forced by the Department of Justice to actively engage in this process, so I appreciate it. And then, because I've been involved since the Exeter, since the original external investigation, so I appreciate that. And then also I want more diversity, so I appreciate the fact that I see more African Americans involved in the process. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate that feedback. And actually, that gets us to our reform. What does the reform look like? And that's a great segue. So we have set up principles of policing. These are our core principles. Now, when you list them out like this, I always say, you know, they look like buzzwords. Anybody can put these words up on a slide. But behind each one of these words, transparency, legitimacy, accountability, fairness, collaboration, and innovation, behind each one of these buzzwords is an entire body of research of best practices, of what works in law enforcement to achieve these goals. And that body of research, I'm a researcher by training, that's what I do. So I'm bringing that research into our police department so that we can meet these goals. And we know moving forward that all of our policies, practices, training, procedures will adhere to these goals, right? That's the overarching mission of this police department now. And all of our reform work are based on these core principles. Yes, sir.
I haven't heard cell phones mentioned, high-tech equipment about people driving.
Oh, distracted driving, another, yes, important issue, particularly, again, up around the university where you have, you know, younger folks who are driving. That distracted driving is an issue. You know, I can never say that word right, but heroin, those issues as well, opiates, driving while under the influence of things other than alcohol. All of these things correlated. And the issues about traffic and aggressive driving patterns and distracted driving around the campus are not just around the campus. That's an increase across the city as well.
You know, it's really unique, you know, coming from the city up to UC, because, I mean, it's a totally different environment. I mean, you have young people, right? You know, you've got people that aren't experienced in drinking and driving, or hopefully not doing the two together. But it's a more intimate relationship. I was explaining this to somebody the other day. You know, with the city, you know, it's citizens. You know, and they don't really have a face. It's just kind of open. City of Cincinnati. You know, and both are kind of, you know, kind of nebulous. But at the university, there's an intimate relationship because, you know, these are our students. This is our staff. These are my peers, the individuals I work with. So it's really a different type of relationship.
I like the way you not bother over this direction we see young people.
That's right.
Well, some people are part of the game with Philly Thomas, eh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Right. So our reform efforts now, there's been so many. It used to be that I would just do one slide and we have some bullet points, and then it turned into 2 slides. But I'm so proud of this work. We've actually divided into personnel changes. That's part of us and some others that you'll see in there. What we've identified is sort of legal matters. So for instance, the civil settlement with the DeVos family and other legal changes and issues that we've handled.
Which the settlement was prior to a suit being filed.
That's right. That's right. We reached out to the family proactively to do the right thing the best as we could at that time. Official reports and reviews. So we've had a number of external reviews, including, first of all, the incident itself. There was an external review by Kroll. Then we did a top-to-bottom external review of the police department that was completed by Exeter. And then now we have an external monitor, and I'll talk more about that in just a moment. We've had changes in our supervision, our accountability, oversight, and significant changes in our training. And then finally, our community engagement. We do things like this everywhere.
All the time.
All the time. So all of these are then listed for you, and that's why I brought you the copies so you can have a takeaway. And we'd be happy to kind of talk about any of these things, but they're just so numerous at this point. I want to highlight for you a couple that I think are most important for you to recognize. So here we have the personnel changes. The next one, again, what we've titled Legal Matters, the official reports and the reviews and all the dates for these things. Everything that I'm showing you can be accessed on our website, and the website is listed on the last slide in your handout. So you can go and literally pull up these external reviews. What do they say? In fact, this presentation I'm giving right now will be uploaded to our website, and you can pull it down and see it again. Groundhog Day, right? Keep watching. Supervision, accountability, oversight in our training, some of our key moments here in time, and our community engagement. And I actually ran out of room. I need a new slide for 2017. So we have just through the end of November in 2016, we ran out of room. But the most important of our community engagement work, I think, is our Community Advisory Council. And if you haven't heard about this council, I want to take just a moment to talk about it. This is a 19-member council. We started shortly after the DuBose shooting, so in October of 2015. This council is chaired by Judge West. Skip West was a now retired judge from the Hamilton County Court of Common Pleas. And he does this voluntarily, and I have to tell you, he holds us accountable.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt about that.
He's a tough judge.
He is a tough judge, and he leads this group that's comprised of civic leaders and religious leaders. We have representatives from the university, from the community.
Students, faith community.
Exactly.
Faculty.
Our purpose is to help us develop this reform agenda, track our progress, and then communicate outwardly the work that we are doing. And they actually just did this. We had 4 members of our Community Advisory Council who came with us when we presented to City Council's Committee on Law and Public Safety. We spoke there 2 weeks ago, and we had Judge West along with Bishop Bobby Hilton, Pastor Ennis Tate, and Pastor Casey Smith, who came and presented with us in front of Law and Public Safety about the work that we've been doing.
Which gave us a lot of credibility. I mean, and that's kind of the goal. Is to restore the confidence, the community's confidence, both internal, UC community, external community, confidence in the well-being of the UC Police Department. So when we have people speak on our behalf, that adds to our credibility of us, trying to make these changes. Whether, as Dr. Ingalls said at the very beginning, we've got the roadmap up, we know where we're going, we're in the process of making the changes now. So we're not there yet, so we can't declare victory, but we know where we want to get to.
Right. And I would just say one last thing about the UC Police Department officers. The men and women in this department, and I've worked all around the country with police officers, that's what I do. And a lot of times I'll go into a police department and I'll know when I walk out that door, nothing's changing there. I can talk till I'm blue in the face, I come in as a consultant, nothing's changing there. This police department has shown no resistance. These are men and women who want to do well, who are encouraged and inspired to do well. And they really take on that mission of providing safety for students, faculty, staff, visitors up to the university. So while the changes that we're implementing, this is an agency in crisis, if you will, right? So many changes, new leadership, all this public scrutiny, and now they have to do all of these other things, and the external reviews and the negative press, and all of it they have done under grace and dignity. I have to say, I'm very proud of this workforce that continues to go out every single day and make sure that these folks are safe.
You mentioned Ennis Tate and Casey Smith. Is
Yes.
Peter Mingo, he's done a lot for Ennis.
Yeah, so Reverend Mingo I actually work with all the time because we have now sponsored his Peace Bowl. So I don't know if you're familiar with the Peace Bowl that they have annually. It's a youth football tournament. Originally started, actually it was the first annual Peace Bowl, right, where there was the shooting.
Oh, right, in Avondale, across from Burbandy. Was it South Avondale Elementary School was the first Peace Bowl where they had a shooting at the Peace Bowl.
Yes. And so the idea is to get youth that are engaged in positive ways, and they bring together from all over the city, and now it's gone even outside the city, for these young folks to come together in sports with the overall ideal of peace. Well, Reverend Mingo is one of the founders of the Peace Bowl. So he and I have been working together, and UC is now the sponsor of the Peace Bowl. We brought those kids up last summer and let them play where the Bearcats play. Right, so they got to be on a, and for many of these children, it's the first time they've ever stepped foot on a college campus. And imagine that impression that leaves. So it's aspire to be here. We want to be viewed as open and welcoming to our community, especially to our youth. We don't want to be seen as that white institution in the middle of your neighborhood. You know, we want people to come and experience all of the great things that this university has to offer, and that was a great way to do it. And when you said Reverend Pete Mingo, that made me think of him directly.
But, you know, but also, you know, I talk about the relationship between the police department and the university. You know, initially when the indictment came out, you know, there was a call to abolish the UC